right, folks. It's been a little while since we saw you last. We took a little break for the holidays. We got another one coming up here, joined by our friend. That's right, the jolly old fat man, Saint Nick. Getting ready for for another holiday past the Thanksgiving holidays. Ray and I had a good time with our family. Mm-hmm. Had many a bourbon.
Mm-hmm. Kids all got together.
Nice. Yeah, it's always nice. I mean, like
all got together.
Yeah, I mean, a little insight into the family. Like Ray and I are the last two of 7 children. Mm-hmm. So whenever the family gets together, it's a big ordeal. And obviously, because we have so many siblings, there's a lot of cousins, that get to hang around. So it was a good time, the holidays. We took a little hiatus from podcasting, given the holiday craziness. And we're back now at it. And we are returning to... This sort of bridges 2 topics that we typically talk about. Usually we talk about the gaming sort of sphere, our growing up retro gaming. This isn't so much retro gaming. And TV. And we're entering, again, something a little bit more topical here with the series known as Fallout. And before we do that, I do want to do our usual plug. I'm Bob. That's Ray.
I'm Ray.
We are your hosts of the Split Personalities Podcast, a podcast hosted by twins who are entering their late 30s, got bored with their lives, and decided to do what most hacks our age do. We started a podcast. And if you want to support us, you can support us on Patreon, if you're a real one. You can support us if you don't have the urge to do monthly support. You can always support us with one-time donations via PayPal. And those links can be found if you're on YouTube. You can find those links both in our bio and in the description of our videos. If you're on Instagram, go to our bio. You'll find all that stuff. If you like what we do, please support the show. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Push us in Zuckerberg's algorithms.
Yes.
And blow this thing up.
Yeah.
Right now we have 17 subscribers, so we'd like to get maybe about someday we'll have 3-digit subscribers.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah. So one day we'll get to 18.
Yes, one day we're at 17 now, so the next step is 18. Yes. But then after that, it's 1 million subscribers.
All right, 1,800.
There you go.
Million.
1,800 million. Yes. So, and also another way to support us, if you don't want to do the Patreon stuff or the PayPal, if you actually want a product for your money, you can buy some swag.
The
easiest way to do this, we have some stuff. I have some stuff on our Printify is the dropship I use, but I have some things mocked up. If you like the crew necks, if you like the hat, the one singular hat that we have. We also have T-shirts. If you'd like me to mock something up for you, I could take a look at it. But the easiest way to get a product from us is to just direct message us on Instagram.
Also give you this Apple Watch.
Ray will give you that Apple Watch.
Which is not charged.
This one uncharged Apple Watch could be yours if you become a Patreon member.
Oh, what? Little battery there.
Well, okay, there's some battery left in that one. And that could be yours for the low Patreon subscription.
I can't guarantee that will be charged when it arrives.
Yeah, you'll get it someday, maybe. So, anyways, we are now broaching 2 topics at once. We're talking about the world of video gaming and of recent TV shows, and this is topical for the reason that season 2 of Fallout is going to be hitting soon.
Yeah. So this is a game. I think when we first talked about starting this podcast and throwing out ideas of like IPs we would want to talk about. Fallout definitely came up. I think it probably had I feel like when we were first talking about it, probably the season from 1 had probably just wrapped up or something.
I think I jokingly said Ray could talk about that. Because I was at the time, I'm I know nothing about this. And
since then you have watched it.
Yeah, I've watched the TV show. But so you're getting 2 perspectives here. You're getting somebody who's played the games and watched the season 1. And you're getting someone who knows nothing about the games, but watched season 1 and was interested in it. The person who directed or produced this series was also involved in another famous one. What was the other? I was watching retrospectives. The person who did...
Who did Fallout?
The person who did Fallout did another famous show, and I'm blanking on it right now. I feel
the Fallout show?
The person who did the Fallout show was
actually don't know the
was also part of another high profile show.
producer or director of that show.
Okay. Well, anyways, you can see how brushed up I am on this. So I'll probably add a little text to this video to say this was it. But the people who did the season 1 of Fallout had a reputable. They were part of another reputable show in the sci-fi sphere. I'm completely blanking on it right now.
It's not like Silo. It's weird. My mind goes to Silo because Silo is essentially like Fallout. But
Silo is another good show we should talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
Are they going to have another season in that? We're thinking of the third season.
They're definitely going to do another one.
Yeah, that's a good show. Anyways, I give you the perspective of somebody who knows nothing about the games, watched the show. Ray can provide. I'm going to rely on Ray a lot in this episode because Ray has a lot more of the Fallout universe.
Lore more, although like I had to definitely brush up on that because I haven't followed up on it a lot. But I've never played the full context here. Like I've never played Fallout 1 or 2. And
those were like in the early 90s.
Yeah, mid to early 90s. I think 1 came out.
Those were like top-down games. Those were like tank
Those
games.
are point and click.
Point and click, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Old school Windows games.
So I never played them, but I am obsessed with them. I've watched like a lot of like recaps on those games and like delved into the lore around it.
Okay, so the very simplistic view I can give you, just to give the simplistic view from somebody who knows only the show, though I did watch some retrospectives, which gave me a little bit more context in the universe. Essentially, Fallout exists in a world much like ours, but in World War II, it goes on another. It branches off. Like our human history up to World War II is the same, but in the world of Fallout branches to a whole other parallel universe.
Yeah. So as context for this episode, we're going to be talking about, I think, the prelude to the world of Fallout. Like touch on that. I'm going to touch on enough lore that we can get through 1. In Fallout 1. Originally, I was thinking about talking about Fallout 1 and 2, and then I was trying to dive into it today, like brush up on it. I was like, okay, there's just like, I don't want to say it's like confusing lore. It's not confusing the way Metal Gear Solid.
It seems like the show pays attention to 3 and after.
Yeah, for sure. But there's so much lore. There's so many different factions that like it's too much. So
and the show primarily focuses on 3, as far as I understand. The Brotherhood, the Vault Tech, like the people within the vaults, the Vault Dwellers, they're not the same people as Vault Tech, and the Enclave. Well, the Enclave are referenced in it, but the new California Republic.
Yes,
this is essentially the 3 factions,
which doesn't exist yet in 1, but we'll get to that. But anyways, okay, what was I going to say? So we're going to focus on 1, and I want to touch on like the pre-world before, like that led up to Fallout as well. So Fallout 1 is going to be our focus for this episode. But as Bob was touching on, so you got to think of the world of Fallout as everything that happens before the end of World War II is essentially the same.
The same history that we know.
The same history that we know. The divergent point is what they call it. The divergent moment is probably like around the 1950s, like post World War II.
Essentially, what was explained to me, like the U.S. never left the Eisenhower era.
Yeah,
essentially.
The U.S. is in constant Red Scare. They're living in constant 1950s esque super patriot, get those Reds kind of thing. Interesting that the game almost in a way like foreshadows like China becoming more of a threat.
China, it's not the USSR, right? That's the Red Scare. China becomes the dominant. There are 2 world superpowers, the US and China.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of makes sense because China, like the Soviet Union had collapsed by 1980.
Yeah, I guess by the time that the first game came out, the Soviet Union was no longer.
89.
89 is when the Berlin Wall fell.
Yeah.
So that was essentially is like the watershed moment for the Soviet Union. That's when it really ended.
So,
effectively.
Okay, so there's a divergent point where our history split, and so we have this new split into the Fallout universe. So we have this 1950s-esque like era that never ends. The Red Scare never ends. The Cold War never ends. So split happens in another big point of this is that instead of the U.S. like exploring like micro technologies, like microchips, like microelectronics, they go all in on nuclear energy, nuclear fusion, and implant that in all their technologies, which makes like, you see these like giant batteries on things.
If you watch, so this confused me, and I did not know this until I watched even after watching the show. I guess I wasn't paying attention to the years. Even after watching this show, I'm like, oh, like they're in the 1950s. It's like, no, they're in the 20s. No. It's 2077 when the bomb goes off. But the technology looks
like they're in the 1950s. Even the cars, though they're futuristic, look like cars from the 50s.
So again, you have to understand this is a divergent time. Yeah. Like like our understanding of the world is not the same world that Fallout exists in.
All right, so like U.S. doubles down on nuclear power. Everything like from vacuums to TVs to like their weaponry is all nuclear powered, and then
they've got like these big mech suits.
Yeah, that is developed later during the war. So I want to say I think during so they go on like this for a while. Like they're in a constant Cold War. With communist nations.
I mean, if you think of 27, so let's think about this. Right, World War II ends in 1945.
Right.
So that you're talking about really like over a century of Cold War era.
So there's 100 years of like essentially the Cold War.
100 years plus because the bomb goes off in 2077.
Yes, so but in what leads up to that is in about around 2050, 2052, I think there's a global resource crisis that begins. Right. The oil and oil reserves are drying up around the world. In the 2050s, 2060s, the U.S. annexed Canada. The European, I don't even know if the EU exists in this world, but there's a collective European states, essentially like an EU.
That's an interesting thought.
That collapses too.
Mm-hmm.
Did the EU, I don't even know if didn't the EU start in the early 2000s?
I don't know.
With the money exchanges?
Maybe I'll ask the audience. Do you know when the EU started? My wife's in the
early 2000s.
You want me to Google it?
Okay,
we don't have a computer. I want to say early. Someone, but I feel
somebody who's she's doing Christmas cards. Somebody who's watching this video
for monetary reasons, most like trade and monetary reasons, they all like European dollar.
So just imagine a world where the European Union
euro
probably did not conglomerate because they would have been a strong power.
I believe there is some sort of conglomeration of European states, but like once the resource crisis hits, it's like that union just falls apart, I think.
Right. They're probably all like small fiefdoms that are fighting over resources. Right. They aren't strong enough like the U.S. and China would have been.
And then China in its, America, even though there's a resource crisis, is probably the best position because they have Alaska with heavy reserves there. And because of that, China is in crisis, and then they invade in 2072, Alaska.
The EU was officially created in 1993. However, the European Economic Community was formed in 1957.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
All right. Well, just imagine a world where the EU, if it existed, was not powerful enough to stave off, U.S.-China influences. And I imagine with the USSR not being like a player here, China must have probably consumed them, or they
with who?
Like Russia.
Oh, Russia. I don't know if they just are like an ally. Like a natural ally to China or what?
Obviously
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, so we don't know. There's part of there's part of the universe that's not explained, right? So like we don't entirely know what happened with Europe, but we do know that the U.S. and China were the two powers strong enough to stay strong to stand as a nation against the wars over resources.
Right. And so actually this is when power armor is formed. So China actually, I think, takes Alaska and holds it for like a little bit. and the U.S. Army
So it's like a soft war. I mean, like that's U.S. territory. Right?
No, it's an actual war. They're like fighting
Okay.
in Alaska, I think. And
But nobody is used.
nobody's
It's a
used
conventional
nuclear
war. Nobody's
power,
used nuclear war. Nobody's used the nuclear option.
and so what turns the tide is the invention of power armor. I think West Tech is the corporation that invents it in this game. I thought it was Vault-Tec, but then diving into
The show game. There's this moment in the show where all these companies are around a circular table.
Yeah, I don't know if West Tech is involved in that.
West Tech is in
Are they in there?
Yeah, I watched
Okay.
a couple videos.
Okay, that makes sense then. So West Tech makes the power armor, comes up with the power armor that turns the tide. The U.S. drives China out of Alaska, and then
An important context to this, at least for the show, is that the U.S. military complex, the U.S. government essentially gives most of the control of the country over to corporations.
well, I think because the war goes on for so long, the country is in debt to these corporations, so they
Right.
become more powerful
Right.
because like the country's broke, and these companies are wealthy because they're defense manufacturers.
And Vault-Tec makes it, and this becomes an important key into the show. I don't know about the games. I'm assuming the game. But Vault-Tec becomes a very rich company because they sell people on the idea of Fallout vaults.
Well, they're a defense company, so they're definitely making money off of... Somehow they become the biggest company. I think they're just the biggest defense conglomerate, corporation that America relies on during like the war effort. And so, don't know who strikes first. I think the show actually, not to spoil anything about the show tries to answer this question like once and for all, like what happened.
I like the show's take on it.
I do
don't know
like it
what the video
too.
games.
I'm not going to say it here, but
Yeah, because that's the big twist of the season one.
for the longest time it's like Han and who's the other guy who
Han.
shot first.
Han
you don't
Solo
know.
and Greedo.
We don't know. Was it America who shot first? Was it China? Don't know. But nuclear bombs go off in the entire world.
The entire world's destroyed.
Now, leading up to this, America does plan for this, working with Vault-Tec. Now, Vault-Tec sets up these hundreds. I don't know if we know how for sure.
One of the videos I watched
120?
said 122 vaults are made, which would have been they were poking. I mean, they were basically saying that Vault-Tec wasn't actually planning for nuclear fallout because, like, basically 122 vaults would have been a fraction of the entire U.S. population. So this was really for like wealthy, the affluent.
To get into
Americans,
to buy a spot,
like would have gotten a spot. It would have not saved.
Yeah,
it was 99.5% of the country is probably going to die on the surface.
Right.
Essentially.
So they Vault-Tec built vaults. These just giant. If you've ever seen Silo, that's essentially what it is. Like giant, like underground facilities to house and home people where they can live for hundreds.
This is what they're selling.
Yeah, but they're selling hundreds.
There's a different truth.
Yeah.
to these.
Who knows how long they can live? I mean, these people do live hundreds of years in these vaults, as we come to learn. But the secret thing that is also happening is that these vaults are actually unbeknownst to the dwellers. Some are okay. Some are just standard vaults that operate, as is. Most are experimental.
Right.
Like some sort of, whether it's a psychological, social, whether it is like some sort of like government or power dynamic that's set up, or experimental.
Yeah, in the show, it's pitched that each company is getting a certain handful of vaults. Like each of these, like let's say there are 5 companies. I can't remember exactly how many there are, but there's like a round table of in the show. There's a pivotal moment in the last episode. There's a round table discussion happening. Vault-Tec's leading the discussion, but there are other companies who are at the table. And essentially her pitch is, okay, each of you will get, we made this technology of the vaults, but we are going to give these to you. One of them set up as a trio. So there's one group of vaults that are connected
In the show,
that have a very specific purpose. But the rest of the vaults are sort of single unit vaults. and Vault Tech gives over these vaults to the other companies. Here, you get 20, you get these 20, like whatever. And it's like you can conduct experiments in these vaults to do as you see fit. And we will see which company comes out of this nuclear holocaust, essentially.
Right. Like, for instance, in one of the games, I think it might be like 3 or maybe New Vegas. One of those. Like, one of the experiments is like the vault dwellers are encouraged to like sacrifice someone. The person who is elected is the overseers of the vaults are typically the leaders of the vaults.
Right.
In this specific vault, I can't remember the number. The position of overseer is someone who gets sacrificed every year. And so like it is like the vault alludes that if you do not sacrifice someone, something terrible is going to happen. Maybe the doors open, or I can't remember exactly what happens. But it's funny, like a little ironic twist in one of these games is where like you're exploring the vault like after like it had collapsed, and then you like choose not, like on the computer or something, you choose not to sacrifice, and then there's this little parade where it's like, congratulations, you chose the like valiant like choice or whatever.
But they
like,
never did.
But they never got to that point because it was led to believe like something terrible would happen. Right. Which if they made the right choice, they would have been rewarded for it.
In the show, the one that's set up as a trio, they are led. Now there's a true meaning to the vault that isn't clear to Vault. So there's a trio, right? Vault 33, Vault 32, Vault 31. You learn throughout the season 1 that all of the leaders of this trio of vaults have come from Vault 31. But basically the people who are living in 32 and 33 are led to believe their experiment is a meritocracy, essentially. Like they are practicing a meritocracy so that when they resurface, they will bring democracy back to the surface of the planet, essentially.
Right. So Vault Tech, for the most part, most of these vaults are just experiments, like with the residents of the vault not understanding that going in. And like some of these experiments run for hundreds of years. Some of the vaults collapse immediately because of the social or psychological pressures they're put under in these experiments.
Some vaults, I imagine, surface. Give up on the idea of living underground and just resurface.
Yeah. And so there is Vault Tech is the one who makes the vaults, but there is like a agreement, I think, between like the U.S. like a secret division within the U.S. government. Like high level personnel within the U.S. government and Vault Tech, where Vault Tech will run these experiments in their vaults. The data is then collected by this government group to observe like the human condition. And that group is eventually revealed to be the Enclave.
Okay, so the Enclave is the remnants of the U.S. government.
Yeah, remnants of.
Okay, I didn't know
not
that.
Even like I think a very select few within like the high echelon. Like I think the president and maybe some others. Like,
but obviously they don't live that long, so like they're.
It's like high-end military people, the president, like maybe some of his cabinet members. Like it's a very select group within the government, kind of like a secret, almost black ops thing, I think.
Okay, so one of the big pivotal moments in the show, I don't know about the game, is that the reason why the nuclear bombs are set off is because there is an infinite power source discovered that will end.
That's not part of the game.
Okay. So in the TV show, a big pivotal moment is, and what everybody is after is this, I can't remember what it's called, but there's there's a clean energy source that produces infinite power. And so it is believed.
Which would then compete with nuclear power.
Well, and it would end the war because because
yeah.
both of the China and the U.S. are fighting over resources. So now this technology would end that fight over resources, and these capitalistic entities would no longer make money off of this war. Essentially, it's like the military-industrial complex. They're making money only if war exists.
Right.
And Vault Tech would be completely destroyed because the nuclear threat would be gone.
Yeah, nuclear threat would be gone. They're a defense like company, like
Right. So that's a part of the show, right?
Mhm.
And I'm trying to remember. Oh, so like the in the show, it's shown that the Enclave has this technology.
They must have found it. They probably had documents on it, but Vault-Tec bought it to hide it, to like kill
Okay.
it
Yeah.
in the show.
Oh, that's right. In the show, they bought it and killed it. Right.
And Vault-Tec and the like,
And so the
elements of
Enclave inherited
the
stuff.
government like worked very closely together.
So
they
in the
probably
show,
knew
you
about
see
it.
this guy, this doctor, who injects himself with this liquid,
Mhm.
and he becomes a focal point of the early episodes, where everybody's chasing after this one guy,
Right.
this escaped scientist. Essentially, the Enclave is looking for him. The Brotherhood stumbles upon him,
Yeah.
and the California New Republic's looking the remnants of the California New Republic are looking
Yeah,
for
everyone's
him.
looking after this technology. So, but I mean, the Enclave will not come up in the first game. They come in as a factor in the second game. But okay, so we talked about the Great War. We talked about the events leading up to it. We don't know who shot first. So, the other thing I want to talk about is the villain of the game, who is known as the Master, and kind of like his lead up, because he was a kid when the bombs fell. His name is Richard. His last name was different, but he changes his last name to Gray after he exits the vault. But I guess we'll just call him Richard Gray, but later becomes the Master, who is the antagonist of the game. He goes into one of these vaults as a kid. As the bombs are falling, he is forced to leave the vault. It's Vault 8. Vault 8 is one of the few vaults that is, I don't think, is an experimental vault. But he is forced to leave because he's accused of a murder or something. I can't remember exactly. Something like that. He leaves. He changes his last name to Gray. He becomes Richard Gray. I believe he was trained as a doctor in the vault because he's a doctor for one of the towns you'll see in the game, which is called the Hub. He meets another former vault dweller named Harold, which can't remember which vault Harold comes from. But anyways, so Harold and Richard meet. I think they become like friendly. There is an incident where they have to go to they go to an expedition. He joins the caravan to investigate strange attacks and missing people at this base, the Mariposa base. It's a military base. They discovered the ruined military base. They enter, and it's a top secret military base. There's experiments run here. We eventually learned it's the FEV, a part of West Tech.
Okay.
The two things West Tech did is make power armor and the forced evolutionary virus, FEV virus. Which is to make humans like super soldiers, essentially, that are radiant is resistant. But however, Richard, while going through this facility, is knocked by some mechanical machine into an FEV vat. I think he's knocked unconscious, but before he sinks fully into the green ooze or liquid, very like Joker-esque, he is able to climb out of the vat. He is like in great pain. When he exits the vat, he finds his way to the computer room of the facility and just hangs out there waiting to die. He doesn't die, but he's in great pain for a while. And I guess to distract himself, I guess you can find his diary in the game or something, because he does write a diary during this time. But eventually the pain goes away. It subsides, but his body changes, and his body actually starts to morph around the computers in the room. And he's a human that is, all of a sudden his body's wrapped around a computer. And so he almost absorbs that and becomes part machine, part monster.
It's like System Shock.
Yeah, if there's a picture of him, we should put it up because he's a very interesting bad guy. But anyways, he also explains that he all of a sudden anytime an animal approaches or comes near him, a tendril will just automatically come out of his body, shoot and grab it and absorb it, and he can then read its mind or become smarter by absorbing these creatures. So anyways, he comes to becomes fixed, like a fixed feature of this facility. He can no longer leave because he's like wrapped around the machines. And he's no longer really human. He's kind of a monster with all these tendrils and like this eye coming out. And yeah, I think he looks really gross, but if you have a picture, we'll definitely show it. But I only say that because like he comes to believe that this FEV, like there's something to it, that it really is like the next stage of humanity. So he's stuck in this facility, but like
FEV being the liquid you fell into?
Yeah, the liquid, the forced evolutionary virus.
Okay.
This does come up again in Game 3, I think.
This is coming up at all in the show.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if it actually was mentioned in the show or not. Anyways, he starts experimenting on creatures. So anytime you see... he'll like take two creatures, dump them in the liquid, and they'll absorb each other and become like a whole new thing. Like there are these,
it's like experimenting.
Yeah, tentacled Cerberus creatures that you actually fight in Game 3. That like honestly, anytime you come across a super mutant or one of those creatures, it is direct link to the Master, because he's the only one who created those things. So anytime you come across a super mutant in the Game 3, it's like that super mutant only exists because the Master created him. Like no other creature would have created a super mutant. So they're like direct links to the first game, every single one you ever encounter. So at least as far as I understand. So anyways, you have to understand that and how he came to be. He eventually, like, people wander into the military facility and he captures them and experiments on them with forced evolutionary virus, which he then comes to find creates super mutants, turns like human beings into super mutants. And eventually through multiple like rounds of experimentation, he comes to discover those who have less radiation or have less radiation exposure, who are then dumped into FEV and turned into super mutants, are able to retain or even become more intelligent, which is why he becomes very interested in vault dwellers, but because they have least exposure to radiation.
Okay.
But anyways, so our story begins in 77 is when the bombs fell.
Right. In the show, that's the
I will want to bring up, I don't know if I wrote this down. Yeah, Brotherhood Steel. I'll also say, because when we talk about the Mariposa military base where the Master was created, it also has a direct tie to the formation of the Brotherhood of Steel. So there was a soldier who was there, Maxon, Sergeant Maxon or something, and he found out that this is days before like the bombs fell. He realized that the scientists there were doing experiments, I think even on humans, using the forced evolutionary virus. And when he found out that, he and the soldiers revolted against the scientists there, and then all of a sudden, they took the base, and then a few days later, like the bombs fell, and they were, I guess the base was structured well enough that they were able to survive and it withstood. And so,
so this is like the birth of the.
This is Maxim and his soldiers, like this crew of soldiers he had. They are eventually become the Brotherhood of Steel. They become obsessed with finding and collecting technology. I think
pre-war technology.
Any war technology, eventually when they become bigger and chapters form, they all collect pre-war technology. But this is formed out of a fear of because of the scientists. Like, it goes to the founder, the fear that humans will misuse technology, and so they
need to be the keepers
ones,
of it.
Keepers and collectors.
Okay, so in the TV show, like the Brotherhood of Steel as the central focus. At least one of the was it Maximus?
Maximus, yeah.
Okay, so Maximus is a young squire, and he is the sort of our touch point to the Brotherhood of Steel, because he was a child who was orphaned with the attack on the New California Republic's main city, which was, I can't remember the name of it. You learn
Shady Sands.
Shady Sands. You learn in the show that okay, here's the spoiler, right? We can't talk anymore about this without revealing the spoiler. The spoiler here is that in the show, Vault 33, 32, and 30 and 31 are a triumvirate, but in 31, there are cryo-frozen people who are from the pre-war era, who are Vault Tech lackeys, essentially.
Right.
They are aligned with Vault Tech, like they are going to do their bidding. One of the people who is unfrozen is Hank. Is that his name? And later on, a ghoul who will recognize him, but from a ghoul who's from the pre-war era in the show will recognize him. But Hank is essentially the person who authorized the bombing of Shady Sands, which is the city that Maximus lived in, which is a part of the New California Republic.
Yeah.
So he's orphaned. The Brotherhood of Steel comes in to save the survivors of this bombing. He's a child. They take him in. They raise him to be, as one of their own. He becomes a squire, essentially. Like it's a sort of like, it's almost a Spartan lifestyle. Like they are raised to be soldiers.
Yeah, essentially. There are two paths. You can either be a soldier, like one
knight,
who
they call
a knight.
Well, on the show they call him a knight.
Knight, like a paladin who wears the power armor, or you can become a scribe who scribes are knowledgeable, or scholars are knowledgeable about pre-war.
Yeah, you see in it looks like a very it almost looks like in the TV show they present the people who are non-combatants as like these sort of they look like monks almost. Like it has this very religious aspect to it.
Right.
And so he's a touch point. He's our touch point, our character that gives us the connection to the Brotherhood of Steel. The other two mainstays of the TV show are who's the Vault Dweller? What's her name? Begins with an L. Blanking on her name now.
I can't remember.
Laura, Lisa. Oh man, what's her name? There is and she's the sort of protagonist of the season 1, and I'm blanking on her name right now. I need to look this up. This is going to bother me.
Lucy.
Oh, Lucy. Okay. That sounds right. So Lucy is the sort of protagonist of season 1. She is our Vault Dweller who rises to the surface because what are they called? They're not rebels, but they're raiders. Raiders attack her vault.
Yeah.
And steal her dad. We don't know who at this point who her dad is, and we don't know why this person begins with an M. She lived. I don't know how she lived so long without being a ghoul.
Mora or something?
Mora, yeah.
They don't go into it. Somehow she must have found a way to freeze herself.
Somehow she lived for a very long period of time. She is from the pre-war era because she knows Cooper, who's like the ghoul cowboy guy.
Right.
And she knows Hank, who was a assistant to Betty, who was one of the Vault Tech people. Anyways, the main characters are Maximus, who's our touch point to the Brotherhood, Lucy, who is our Vault Dweller, Cooper, who is our ghoul, and then Mora, who is our New California Republic person.
Yeah.
And the TV show starts off with the vault being raided, essentially, and her dad.
Wait, are we talking about the TV show in this episode, or are we talking about the first game?
Well, I only know the TV show, so I was talking about the TV show. I mean, you were talking for a long time, and I'm not going to be able to talk at all this episode if we're going to keep talking about game 1 because I know nothing about this. I'm interested in hearing how the game experience connects to the show, but I know nothing about the game, so this would be you talking for an hour about the game.
Okay, now I feel like I have to pivot. Like, do we want to talk about the show? I was planning on just talking about the first game.
Well, I know nothing about the game, so like I could take this mic off and you can talk for an hour if you want to talk about the game.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's think here. Do we want to talk about the show?
Well, I was gonna. My thought was the show. You asked me if I'd seen the show, so I thought we were talking about the show, and you were gonna bring in.
I said I would talk about the first 2 games.
I thought you were just gonna bring your. You were gonna lay the context
Okay.
for the universe and for us to talk about the show because it's like, okay, that might be useful to know about the show. Or I thought you were going to bring like, oh, here are things that the show carried over from the universe, like versus things that it didn't.
I was just planning on talking about the first game. Okay, shit. All right, well, I don't know. Let's talk. Do you want
We want to make this topical. We're going to talk about the show.
Talk about the
Season 2's coming up.
Okay. I thought that would be a different episode, but let's talk about the show. All right, so Shady Sands. I'll try and tie the first game into this. The Vault Dweller. It's cool. Like the games always come up with a cool name. With I feel like the first with the character. In the very first game, it's the Vault Dweller. Second game, it's the Chosen One. In the third game, the Wanderer. In the Fallout Vegas, it's the Courier or something. I don't know. Anyways, the Vault Dweller is chosen. I think he has to pick, they pick straws. Literally, he picks a short straw. He has to go out and find, because their vault, and this is a cool tie-in the show does later. In part 1 episode, like someone comes out and it's like, I just thought I'd tell you all, like our water chip broke. And we're only gonna have water for like the next 3 months or something, which is a direct kind of reference to the first game, because the whole reason you leave the vault in the first game is your water chip breaks. Which
so that happens in the show. I can't remember what that.
It's just like a little thing, like one-off thing that happens in the show.
Yeah,
I think they all have to eventually go into 32 then, because they'll have to move into 32. Or they split, or maybe that's why they split.
No, they take their
32.
existing populace and they take half of them to repopulate.
I think
32.
part of the reason they do that is because the water chip breaks.
Well, okay, probably yes, and also like everybody in 32 had revolted and were killed
And died. Yeah.
You don't know that until like you figure out why that was.
Yeah.
But they were essentially revolting against Vault 31, which is like the vault that has allegiance to Vault Tech.
Yeah. So in the first game, you leave the vault. The very first place you go in the first game is a tiny settlement called Shady Sands, right next to Vault 15. So in Vault 15 is empty. So if you know anything about the lore of the game, which leads into the show, the residents of Vault 15 for some reason leave Vault 15. Oh, the social experiment there is like they put a bunch of group of people in, like social groups, like a bunch of I don't know, like people from very different socioeconomic groups, and put them all together. And experiment was like, can these groups like live together?
Right.
And clearly they couldn't. They all were like, we just want to get out of here. So they form like groups when they exit. Some people go and form the town as Shady Sands. Others leave and become the Great Khans, which is like a raider group. When the Great Khans show up, I think, in almost every game. But
named after like the Mongolians.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So
they're like a nomadic.
No, yeah, they're like a raider group. Great Khans is a raider group in the Fallout universe.
In the TV show, it is suggested that Mora, is that what her name is?
Moira, something like
Moira. Got it. It's suggested that the person who invades Vault 33 had hired raiders to help her invade this fall. Like it wasn't. These weren't all New California Republic soldiers.
Maybe not. Yeah, it might not be. So New California Republic so it starts out as Shady Sands was a small settlement. Eventually, Shady Sands becomes the capital of the New California Republic. In the first game, you visit the town of Shady Sands. There's a guy who runs the town and has a daughter called, I want to say Tannant or something.
This is Fallout 1?
Fallout 1. I can't remember. She's a teenage girl at the time. I definitely got this wrong. I don't know her name begins with a T. I want to say Tanya. I don't know. Anyways, you help the Shady Sands. Based on the player's choices, you likely help out the town. I guess the lore would probably be you help out this town, and you even save his daughter is actually captured by the Great Khans, and you go save the teenage daughter and bring her back. Eventually, in the second game, when you don't come in the vaults because you're not a vault dweller, you're actually the remnants of Vault 13. Anyway, the guy Vault 13 Vault Dweller, when in the end of the game, he doesn't get to go back in the vault. He leaves and forms his own community, and I think some of the Vault 13 people join him. Anyway, and you're then a ancestor of that person in the second game, and you eventually find your way back to Shady Sands. And this in the second game, that is when the New California Republic has established itself. And there's an old woman there called Tanya, who's the president, the same teenage girl in the first game. She's, I think, the very first founder or president of the New California Republic. The thing you gotta know about the New California Republic is basically they are like trying to reestablish democracy, essentially. There are really no great groups in the game, whether it's Brotherhood of Steel or even the New California Republic. They all have their own motives.
Right.
Even though like the idea of democracy definitely virtuous, like trying to rebuild that, but the New California will crush and step on people's toes if they need to, like for their own sake. So there's no really great virtuous group in these games or in the show, but anyways, that's how the New California Republic gets established by this character who was in the first two games, and then they just grow and expand. Shady Sands becomes their capital. They eventually find their way to even New Vegas, and expand there. So yes, so I think Moira is essentially kind of, I don't want to say she is a leader of the New California Republic. I want to say I wouldn't be surprised. It's actually interesting that they're going to New Vegas in the second season, because I bet you're going to see the other side of the New California Republic there. She's probably, and this is me just guessing, I would bet she is some sort of she's definitely part of the New California Republic, but like a faction within a faction.
Yeah, like they have branches.
Yeah, like an offshoot of that. Probably the more like aggressive. I wouldn't be surprised if she's ostracized.
Like the radical.
Yeah, like a radical part of the faction. Because her tactics are probably even like pushing it for the New California Republic. I mean, they can be dirty though. Like,
I mean, she goes and invades a vault.
She invades a vault, kills like their part of the population
for a personal. I mean, it's
yeah.
a personal vendetta against this man who she knew from the pre-war era. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. I don't know the games. I'm just talking about the show.
No, let's talk about we can talk about the show and see if I can tie any of the things from the games.
Okay, so Ray went on a really long tangent about game one. I was like sort of like what? Yeah, I don't know what. Sure, okay. When are we getting to the show?
Okay, sorry, I didn't know we were talking about the show.
So that's my only touch point.
Game one.
I was like, we started this episode by me saying I know nothing about the games.
And you said so. I'm relying on you. Even before I started filming, I was like, I'm relying on you for this one. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, because I guess we're talking game one.
Totally. I'll just not talk the whole episode.
All right.
So the show, yes. Okay, so there are 4 or 5 main characters. There's Maxwell, who is part of the Brotherhood. There is Lucy, who's in the vault. There is Mora.
I want to say Moira, but I might be wrong. It's either Moira
Okay,
or
I'm,
Moira.
I'm blanking on her name, who's
Yeah.
part of the New California Republic.
It's definitely that, like in that.
And there is her dad and others who are part of Vault-Tec, who are allegiant, who are these sort of pre-war remnants who have allegiances to Vault-Tec. I have no idea how Mora survived 200
They haven't
years.
brought. I think they're going to talk about that in the second season.
Okay, maybe she was
cryo
cryo-frozen or something, like, and she woke herself up. I don't know. But anyways, she was a part of the Shady Sands, which was the hub of the New California
Yeah,
Republic.
by the time
which was bombed by Vault-Tec.
I would have to see where this falls in, like the timeline too.
Uh-huh.
I'm imagining it takes place maybe after Game 4, which I haven't played, because they show that giant ship that was in Game 4 in the show.
Okay.
So I'm imagining it takes place around that. But I think even the like Bethesda has basically said the show is now like part of the canon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and even in the next game, like you have to imagine Shay Sands no longer exists.
Right. So in the early episodes, Lucy is basically, it starts off as a very simplistic premise. Somebody came into the vaults, stole Lucy's father.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know why, but it's obvious that the two of them knew each other.
But they're pissed.
And the Vault 33 survives the Raider attack. At least a number of them do. And they try. So the early parts of the show are Lucy resurfacing, like going back to the surface to try to find her father.
A lot of the games, even like very Game 3-esque, where it's like,
well, they said that Lucy's story is loosely based off of Fallout 3.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like you leave to go find your dad. So
and then her brother stays behind. Her brother becomes a very important part of the story because he's starting to he stays in the vault, but he is starting to understand the sort of
he kind of stays behind. Is like the character you understand is uncovering the secrets there.
Yeah,
as we talked about,
the unshady past
experiments are run in these vaults.
Right. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but the sort of grotesque nature of the reason for why this vault exists and who's controlling, like what's happening here? What are the power dynamics? How have we operated? How have we existed? How have we been ruled and taught to believe our purpose in the world? Her brother stays behind and starts to unravel secrets that exist within the vaults by traveling to 32 and seeing that, her brother travels with a friend to 32 with unbeknownst to everybody else, and everybody's dead there.
Yeah.
And it was obvious that a revolt happened in 32.
Mm-hmm.
So the people who came to them and tried to kill them from 32 were not actually vault dwellers. They were raiders.
The question is Vault 31 connected to both Vault 32 and 33?
Yes. Vault 31 is where, you learn this at the very end of the season, in episode 8. 31 is where the leaders come from.
Yeah.
They are the cryogenic. It's not even a vault, really. Nobody's living in it.
Well, at first you just notice, like, and he uncovers this, he's like, through some computer. I think one of the overseer's computer. He's just like, this leader comes from Vault 31. Oh, interesting. Yeah. This leader came from Vault 31. It's like in both 32 and 33, like it just so happens anyone who's elected Vault, whatever, the overseer always coming from 31. From 31, yeah.
So his reason, his story arc in staying behind is to uncover the sort of the uncomfortable secrets of the vaults. Lucy surfaces and in trying to find her father, finds a man who escaped. Like, she somehow gets entangled in this search for the scientist who escaped the Enclave and injected himself with this, and I can't remember what it's called, but he essentially injected himself with this liquid, which is a forever energy, like a clean energy source that...
I don't know if it's a liquid. It seems like just this like electricity.
Is it a tablet?
He has a tablet that injects in his neck.
Okay, so but inside of it is this like unending clean energy source,
Yeah.
which was why the nuclear war happened in the first place. And the scientist dies early, like right away. But then we also get introduced to, in her search for the scientist, and her sole purpose of finding the scientist is to use him as a prop to get as a bargaining chip to get her dad back.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how she learns about him, but somehow she learns about this guy and thinks that she's going to trade him for her dad.
How does she find out he's important?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Why does he go with her? No, he doesn't go with her. They come back when in Pitts. What is it called? It's not Pittsburgh, but it's Pitt something. The town.
The first town that she comes
I don't want
across.
to say Pittsburgh. I feel like it's a playoff of Pittsburgh.
Pittsatucky.
I don't know. Pittsburgh's a Pitt. Go Browns. But the Browns suck. Anyways. The Pit, I feel like it's called.
Right.
They all three characters meet up in that town. They each find their way to that town.
Somehow she finds out he's important. I do not remember how that happens. And somehow she decides to she makes it a point to make him.
I feel like they just run into each other in the town.
They do.
And there's a reason she needs his help for something.
The ghoul, who is Cooper, is just a bounty hunter, right? He just is like interested in him because there's a bounty on him.
Yeah, he has a bounty on him.
Right, but the Lucy doesn't know that. At least not initially. Like I'm trying to remember why. This guy, who's a scientist who escaped, becomes the focal point early on in the season because they converge on him. Because the Brotherhood's interested in him too.
Mm-hmm.
And so he becomes the focal point early on, whereas each group is trying to capture him for their own purposes. That is essentially the reason why Lucy runs into and meets the ghoul, and which is Cooper, who is this pre-war human who has over the years become, and Ray could probably explain this more than I could. There is this idea of the ghoul, which is apparently a known thing in the Fallout universe.
So it's definitely exposure to the radiation. I think actually exposure to the radiation and a mixture of FEV. I think like you find out in, I might be wrong about this. We'll have to double check. You find out in Fallout 3. I think the FEV has just been exposed in the atmosphere. The Enclave is all about like purity. I don't think we'll really touch on them. It's interesting, like they don't really bring them up in the first season because they're not talked about in the first game. They don't become relevant until the second game. So I would imagine we'll see them in the second season. But the Enclave is obviously the remnants of the high echelon of the U.S. government. They still see America as America and even have a president that they believe runs the entire country. Like they see him as the president. Like they haven't given up on. They don't really believe in democracy, but they believe in that power figure of the president.
So he's like an autocrat?
Yeah, like one of the big bads in the second game is like you have to take on the president, which is I can't remember which president it is.
Does he have actual power? Like what is he overseeing? Like what is he ruling?
They believe they do. They feel entitled to like.
Well, because they believe they own the history.
They believe they are the
inheritors
of America. But they become in the third game they become very like interested in purity, and you have the choice of releasing this chemical in the atmosphere in the game, which will essentially kill anyone who has FEV virus within them, which kills like pretty much everyone. But that's like a bad ending of the game. Anyways, why did I bring that up? Enclave, we don't really get too much touch points on them other than this scientist who has stolen this technology and left with it and popped in his neck. He finds his way somehow to this town. They all somehow converge on the pit town. Maximus kills his knight.
His knight dies.
Well, his knight dies. I guess he doesn't kill him. He just doesn't
actively
save
kill
him after he's mortally wounded. So he takes on the power armor. He's like, I'm going to go find this guy. Like, I'm going to prove myself to be like a valiant knight of the Brotherhood.
He thinks if he goes and accomplishes this, he's going to be knighted.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so you have Maximus, who's a part of the Brotherhood of Steel. You have Lucy, who's just popped out of Vault 33, and you have the scientist. Well, you have the ghoul. Oh, the ghoul. That's why I brought FEV. I think FEV is an exposure to radiate. Ghouls are a combination of exposure to radiation and FEV that's just in the atmosphere, I think. And because, like, in game one of the experiments is Vault 12. Like, the door is manufactured and not close all the way. So the remnants of Vault 12 are naturally exposed to radiation consistently. And Vault 12 eventually becomes Ghoul City, which you visit in game one. I don't know that surprised. I feel like it gets wiped out at some point in the games, but yeah, I don't totally understand it. Just some people are in the wasteland and I think don't turn ghoulish.
Yeah, we don't. There's a lot that's not explained. I mean, like,
but essentially, if you become a ghoul, you can like live for like hundreds of years.
Which Cooper is like known as the ghoul. Apparently, the ghoul because he's lived the longest, maybe.
I mean, he's one of the remaining ones who is still not like. Now, the show brings up something that the game's never explained. Like, some ghouls become feral.
Right.
They're mindless. They are essentially like zombies. If you run into them, they're going to come and attack you. They're just like enemies to wipe out on the battlefield. Like, if you come across them in the games. Some of the ghouls retain their memories and their intelligence, but there's never the distinction of like why some are feral in the games and why some retain their intelligence. Like, I don't think that's ever really explained in the games. The show,
in the
like,
show,
retcons
he's like taking.
They have to take some sort of like chemical.
Yeah, he's taking some sort of drug to stave off his feral side, essentially. And if they go too long without this drug, they will essentially, like, the longer they've been exposed, and the longer they go without this drug, they'll turn.
Yeah.
So Cooper is, you find out later in the season one, he's looking for his family. That becomes his driving motivation. Like, his motivation is just to survive initially, but later on in the season when Hank shows up, and he recognizes Hank because Hank was a guy who did his wife's laundry, essentially. In the last episode, he's an intern. Like, he runs into Hank and he's like, "Oh, this guy used to do my wife's laundry." His driving motivation at the very tail end of season one becomes, Hank knows where my wife and daughter are, because you learn that Betty, who is Cooper's wife, she's a high up person in Vault Tech, but she has negotiated a place for her, their daughter, or son. Is it a son or daughter?
She has a daughter.
Daughter and Cooper. She has negotiated a place for the three of them in this sort of elitist vault, which we have not seen. It's not. Some people have speculated that they were in Vault 31. Somebody who I watched said they are not in 31 because the guy who did her laundry was in 31. Like, they must be in this more like exclusive vault. So there's,
she said, like, in the show, she said, like, mentions, like, you know, a one-off conversation with Cooper and one of these flashbacks,
right,
where it's like, well, we want to make sure we get in a vault, and she's like, they're talking. I can't remember what the conversation exactly is, but she says, no, one of the good ones. And if you've ever played a game, you know there are only a few vaults that are not experimental.
Right.
But even what she was talking about is probably some sort of
like she was getting them in the upper echelon vault, essentially. Like, somehow he never. this is the thing I don't understand with the show is like if she was this big player in this arena, why is he and the daughter out on this stupid birthday party? Like she must have known when the attack was going to happen. So why are they at this birthday party like out in the middle of nowhere, like, you know, just like in the wind when these attacks happen? What happened to the daughter? You know?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll try and explain that in the second season because she would definitely try and make sure her daughter was safe.
But if he was able to get the daughter back to the mother, and the mother and the daughter were able to navigate their way into one of these elite vaults, why did he not go in as well? He was the one with the daughter at the time.
Yeah, so
I don't understand that.
I don't know either. Well, they haven't really explained it.
Yeah.
But
anyways, the important thing by the end of the season 1 and running into Hank, like his motivation on the verge of season 2 is Hank is making his way to what looks to be what people have said is the walled city of New Vegas. Mm-hmm. That looks to be where season 2 is going to pick up. And the Cooper's motivation of tracking him down is to find out from Hank, where his wife and daughter ended up. Like, what vault did they end up in? Because it's one that nobody seems to know about, other than the select few.
Yeah, they would probably know.
Right.
Or Hank would probably know.
Which must not be 31 because, like, why, like, you know, Lucy's from 33, 32, 31. Like, they could have, like, he could have gone down there. Mm-hmm. So the implication is that there's this sort of...
Well, 31, like, seems to imply, like, if Hank is able to get in 31, like, he was just an intern.
Yeah. Well, he was also a loyal employee.
So it's probably an executive one. She was an executive at the company.
Right. Question is, why did Cooper not get in there? And also, now you do see him with an earpiece at the very end, like, Moira, I'm going to call her Moira. I don't know if that was her name, but she gives him an earpiece, and he is able to listen in on the conversation that happens at the round table. And he's sort of aghast the fact that his wife is the one that brings up the idea of Vault Tech starting the nuclear war. It's like, oh, if we're on the verge of collapse in the market, you know, like, again, this is a world where capitalism exists. If we're on the verge of our shareholders or our market collapsing because there's no need for the vaults.
Moldaver.
Okay, we've been saying this wrong the whole episode.
Moldaver. Moira Moldaver.
Moira Moldaver, whatever. Moldaver knows Cooper, knew Betsy. I don't. I'm gonna.
Who's Betsy?
Betty.
Betty.
Is Betty the wife of Cooper? Fuck. I don't know.
No, Betty was the blonde in the vault.
We completely fucked this up.
Okay, we're gonna get through this. I'm just gonna talk about Fallout 1. Hold on.
I'm about to leave the table. We're just gonna talk about Fallout.
Wife in Fallout show. Great content. Barb.
Fuck. Barb.
Cooper Howard's wife in Fallout shows Barb.
Insane Betty.
Barb dies in now I'm blanking on the other show I was trying to reference. Who's Barb in what's the show that just came out again? Season 5. Stranger Things.
Okay.
R.I.P. Barb.
We've been saying names wrong this whole episode. So I apologize. But I don't even know where we were. Honestly, okay. So the season, here's the big twist of the season. The big twist of season 1 is that all of these companies are at a round table and decide to, instead of moving forward with how things are and entertaining peace, which would be on the table with this never-ending energy source that they've discovered and bought up, they decide to nuke the planet.
Yeah, so the show, like, which is I'm pretty sure now lore, like Bethesda has signed off on it. Like introduced, like finally, like who launched the nukes, and it was the company, it was Vault-Tec. And I think with the idea of they're all going to go in these vaults, the world's going to get destroyed, but hundreds of years later, when they emerge, they'll run the Earth. After the radiation.
Yes, that was the pitch made at this roundtable. It's like, okay, when we resurface, all of the companies will repopulate. Like the Earth will be repopulated under corporate rule.
Now they aren't accounting for like people surviving, the factions created. I don't think they're accounting
this is the weird thing. Like,
I bet they're not even accounting for the Enclave. Like, I don't know that the Enclave and Vault-Tec are aligned anymore. No,
it almost seems like these corporations.
Because the Vault-Tec would now be a competitor to the Enclave.
Well, so when Barb is at the table making this pitch to all these companies, there is a scene that many people have pointed to where she looks up in the rafters and somebody's looking down at her. And I think there are military people sitting around up in the top sphere, looking down upon this corporation. These corporations gathered at this round table. And so there's this implied idea that these corporations are having a discussion. They are supported by a segment of the military, of the U.S. military. Mm-hmm. And, but I think in Ray's point, this seems to be a group of people who have abandoned the U.S. government. Like they are going to.
Like even if you. How could you say that the survivors of the Enclave? Yeah, okay, like the Enclave's founders maybe made a deal with Vault-Tec, but it's like 200 years later. Well, yeah, people in the Enclave now, like how could you ever why would they want?
And they're probably biological offspring from those people. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, they definitely aren't because they're all about purity. They're probably only
they're offspring, like the grandchild of the president. It's like. These people and the people who protected him, the Secret Service people, like these are all children of the elite,
the high echelon of the U.S. government,
who for some reason were not aligned with Vault-Tec. They stayed on the surface, or did the Enclave retreat underground?
The Enclave, so it might even been brought up in the show. I feel like in one of the news segments, still no word for the
hear me.
Still no word for the president. The president and his select members, days before the bombs drop, the president disappears in the game lore. And I think they run and hide in the Poseidon oil rig, which which is where the Enclave is set up in Game 2. So
it's a remote oil rig somewhere?
Yeah, Poseidon oil rig. I'm almost positive that's the name of it. But how does that protect them? I don't know. That's where they end up by Game 2. That's where their base of operations is. Somewhere the president, so he knows the bombs are coming. The president.
Think about the world today. If a nuclear fallout happened, there are fail safes in place.
Right.
Those who occupy the White House would go somewhere.
No, they definitely went somewhere to hide and be protected, and they knew it was coming because they had disappeared days before. The highest members of government had disappeared.
The question is, was there a split between them and the U.S. military?
No, Vault-Tec must have let them know because, if they're going to drop the bombs, and the president disappears days before, and he and a bunch of
I think the show does mention that. Yeah,
that's because he knew. Vault-Tec probably give him a tip of the cap. What I'm saying is, why would
over time they lose allegiance to each other?
Well, what I'm saying is, Vault-Tec. The show brings up that all of a sudden there are executives from Vault-Tec who are still alive, which is totally new to the universe. That had never been brought up before. We know on the Enclave is the remnants of the highest echelon, the president, his cabinet, maybe the highest members of the military, this Black Ops force. They are the remnants of that, whereas Brotherhood of Steel are the remnants of these like military marine soldiers who have the disdain for like what the government was doing, like these secret science experimentations. And the Brotherhood of Steel and Enclave are natural enemies because of this. They're fighting over resources constantly.
Does the Enclave have like armored suits too?
Yes, they have very different armored suits from they.
Who is more powerful, the Enclave or the Brotherhood?
I would say the Enclave would probably have. The Enclave has the best technology.
Okay.
And they probably have knowledge of secrets of like things hidden. Like they found this like energy source probably because they knew about it.
Right.
In the show.
In the show, the scientist escapes from the Enclave.
So I'm pretty sure I would have to check the lore on this, but I'm pretty sure the power armor that the Enclave eventually developed didn't exist at the very end, like when the bombs dropped. So they built this like afterwards. The power armor that they wear, and it's very different. It's very like triangulated, and it looks super different. Have you ever seen the power armor?
No.
Here,
I don't
it
know.
looks totally different.
Anything about the Enclave?
Okay, here. Looks like that. Like almost like an owl. Like totally different from the.
Is that the Brotherhood?
This is not Enclave. Yeah, they've got this almost like triangulated kind of fixtures, and their like face mask looks like an owl almost. So I'm pretty sure that armor was developed like post the bombs falling. Like so, they still have technological prowess, maybe that the Brotherhood still doesn't even have.
Okay, this is what I don't understand. How big is the Enclave compared?
We don't know, honestly.
Well, the Brotherhood has chapters across the... It's made very clear even in the show. The Brotherhood has chapters across the U.S.
You really don't know, honestly. I don't think anyone's ever defined how big the Enclave is. Like in the first game... In the second game, you kill the president, who exists at the time. They show back up in the third game in DC, and the president in that game is like an AI machine. They obviously still exist because they exist in the show. It's never mentioned how big they are, honestly.
They're only loosely hinted at in the season.
I mean, the Brotherhood of Steel's power is dwindling, like as the show mentions, I feel like.
Their influences?
Yeah, I think like the characters in the show, like whoever is the high scribe or whatever. Yeah. Remember?
Well, I thought they were receiving information from Boston, so it seemed like they were like low.
I've not played I have to play the fourth game, but
it seemed like they were reaching across the country because it was like the show is based in California, whereas like there was a reference to Boston, so it's like okay, this entity of the Brotherhood. In my mind, not knowing the game exists across the country.
Game 4 actually takes place in Boston. I've not played it. I have the game. I've just never played it. I'll have to get to it at some point. But in that giant ship that comes sailing in the very first episode that they all stare up at is in the game, in the fourth game.
Okay.
In Boston. So I feel like that's a direct tie to Boston. So that doesn't like surprise me that they're receiving messages from Boston, because in the fourth game they're clearly a chapter of the.
So we don't know how big.
We don't know how big the Brotherhood is. It's not established how big the Brotherhood is,
or how big the Enclave is,
But we
know that they
still survive, even though they have been, sects of them have been wiped out in. Game 2 and Game 3, they still are around,
right?
Because that scientist
segments of them,
like chapters, or I don't even know how the Enclaves is structured. Like that's never been defined. Like clearly, the Brotherhood has chapters that like stay in touch with one another. The Enclave, who knows?
Okay. Okay, so I'm trying to think of other key moments from this show. So,
I think that is the point of the enclave too. Is they're like it's all secrecy.
Yeah,
Like the fact that they're members of the government who didn't even know they existed. Like before they took off and hid, and then rebranded them. I don't even know what they called themselves. If they even called themselves the enclave.
So you're saying that the president had an alternate plan?
Yeah, he had like a secret group of like high-end military members. Probably cabinet officials
to protect him and a small group of people
that they had
when fallout happened.
Planned, that they would survive, and,
right?
Probably continue America post.
Do you get the sense that they had a disdain for corporations, like disdain for like corporations like Vault-Tec?
I don't know if it's ever brought up. I mean, the show definitely emphasizes, and the games probably do as well, that like Vault-Tec at this point, like America was indebted to Vault-Tec.
Right.
Like the country is broke. I mean, Vault-Tec probably had more power than the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least in the show, the main two characters are Lucy and Cooper the Ghoul. I mean, they're the ones who are chasing. At the very end of season 1, Hank escapes. They end up. Cooper ends up letting Lucy come with him and to chase down her father. And she kind of wonders why he let her father get away. And he makes this comment about, like, it's easier. Like, had he asked Hank where his family... Cooper's motivation is to find out where Barb and his daughter ended up. Like, are they still... One, are they still alive? But two, like, where did they go? Like, what vault did they originate in? So it's clear, like, so this is an interesting fact of the show. It's like that scene where the bombs first explode and he's with his daughter and trying to escape. Like, somehow that all got fucked up, and like he got separated from his daughter and his wife and daughter must have.
Well, at this point, it's very clear that he is separated from his wife.
Maybe the daughter died. Do we know if the daughter died?
Doubt he would know that though, right? Because the daughter was with him.
I don't know, like, but if he had,
so at some point his wife must have grabbed the daughter. And
if
ran
he had
off with
returned the daughter to the wife, why did he not also get in? They were
separate. I think they're. I mean, we can assume, like, we don't see the interaction after obviously at some point the wife must get the child after he's riding off on a horse because he's looking for them. But what we do know is that they have separated because Cooper has taken a stand against.
He's on the surface and he does not know where they are.
Yeah.
So in chasing at the very end of season 1,
his wife probably made sure he didn't come with her because, like, he had alienated himself from the company.
Or she was trying to say, like, he knew that his pushback against the company would jeopardize all of them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely would.
So maybe the wife and maybe the wife was like, okay, I'm going to save me and the daughter and eschew you so that not all three of us are compromised. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyways, what's clear is that Cooper does not know what happened to his daughter and his wife. They are in they ended up in some sort of elitist vault, and he doesn't know where it is. So he, at the very end of season 1, in finding Hank, Cooper recognizes him, right? Because he knew him in pre-war. He met him in real life. He met him in pre-war.
Calls him Henry. He's like, young Henry.
And so he's chasing this guy down in order to find... His sole reason he's interested in this guy is to find out where his wife and daughter went. And he invites Lucy to come with him because that's her father, and he's lied to her entire life. And he's like, if you want to get retribution on your father, come with me. Mm-hmm. And so the last scene of season 1 shows Hank looking at this walled city, which is New Vegas, which many people have suggested. And the idea is that season 2 is going to pick up in New Vegas. Mm-hmm. So I guess the question here at the end of talking about season 1, unless there's
the game.
Like, are we done talking about Fallout 1? Like, when do we get to the show?
I thought that's what we were talking about.
I didn't know nothing about that. So I guess the question here is, are there parts of the season that we've not discussed that you would like to talk about? There is this one interesting time where Lucy and Maximus end up in another vault.
Which vault was that? I
Vault
was trying to remember
4.
the number of that. Was it 4? Okay.
It apparently has some significance to the game.
It does? Maybe does it?
Somebody
I'd have to look it up.
Somebody I watched in a retrospective said it had some sort of significance to the game.
Yeah, clearly they let outsiders in because a bunch of like.
It might have been one. It might have been one of the. Oh yeah, it had a direct tie to Shady Sands because
a bunch of Shady Sands survivors.
That's where they retreated to when it was bombed. Mm-hmm. So it had a direct tie to Shady Sands, but I don't know. I guess I can't think of like other key moments of the season you would want to talk about, other than stating like, what do you? I guess another question would be, what do you hope for in a season that's going to happen now in New Vegas?
Yeah.
Like, what tie-ins to the game do you hope show up in the show? Do you feel like the show was a good The show makes its own liberties, right? But do you feel like overall the show is a good representation of the game?
I think spirit? So, for sure.
As somebody who's played the games, I've not played the games.
Yeah, I think so. I still have to play the 4th game. I'm sure there are references other than the obvious one, which is like Messages from Boston, the giant ship. That was all the trailers. The Gulpers, I think that they run into as an enemy or like specifically featured in Game 4. I think it's the only game they're in. But yeah, so they're going to New Vegas. I have played New Vegas. You have to imagine that Mr. House is dead.
Who's Mr. House?
So Mr. House, he's at the table. He's at the round table during that meeting. He runs Robco.
Somebody said he's important. Yeah,
he's featured in the trailer for sure. I think there's an interaction between a young Hank and him. I think in the trailer. I don't know. I definitely saw him in the trailer. He's the mustachioed man. He's able to protect Vegas from getting totally annihilated during the bombing.
So is Vegas
is
its own,
one of the
like,
few cities that are maybe one of the only cities that isn't like totally decimated.
So do they control their own borders? Like, do they have do they have their own army? Like, how does that work?
He has in the game he had an army of machines that helped him run New Vegas, and you find out during the game I think he shows up as a computer, like his face will pop up on a computer and he'll tell the courier, who's the character in the game, to go do something or do a task for him. You later find out he's been kept, he is a aging old man in this vat. His brain is just connected to a bunch of wires, which is communicating through the computer. So he's probably on his deathbed, but I feel like he dies no matter what outcome in the game. So you're not going to see him. So it'll be interesting. What does New Vegas look like now post Mr. House, unless somehow he survives? I don't know. I feel like I killed him in the games. I don't know if there's a scenario where he survives in the games.
You killed him in 3?
New Vegas.
Okay, so the show's happening after events of New Vegas?
It has to be.
Why has to?
Well, I guess I would have to know the timeline, but New Vegas takes place. When does New Vegas take place, actually? I feel like New Vegas takes place around immediately after 3, and then I think 4 is after that. I feel like it pretty much goes linear in timeline, like the games do.
Right.
even if they're held in different.
But I guess I'm
settings.
like asking from the perspective of the show. Like you're saying, events of the show are obviously past what happens in New Vegas.
I think so, because I think Fallout, like the show, is clearly made ties with the Brotherhood of Steel in Boston, which is 4, as far as I know. Like, even though like the games, so I might have to look at the timeline after this. But even though the games take place in different cities, they usually will follow later in time, like from the previous game. So events in Fallout New Vegas, I think, happen after like events in Fallout 3.
Okay. Are there things that are there favorite memories or things you recall from New Vegas that you hope show up in season 2?
We would just see New California Republic, because they definitely had a presence in New Vegas. They were a major faction that was trying to. They're trying to restart the Hoover Dam. It'll be interesting how that as a power source.
Is there a group that controls Vegas?
Well, at the time of the events in New Vegas, the New California Republic were going up against. I don't even know what the group was called, but essentially they were Roman. Like the guy who ran this group was obsessed with Caesar in Rome. Caesar Legion, that might be the name of the group. But these were the two large groups compete,
trying to take over
that territory, and were competing against one another to see who would take over the Hoover Dam. I think the New California Republic wanted to restart the Hoover Dam, take it over
as a power
source. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if they have that or not. I'm sure they'll have a presence in New Vegas. It'd be interesting to see, is Mr. House still alive? Like, what happens after?
I did see that
he died.
I think Mr. House was referenced as he's
in a
inside
flashback.
of it. Yeah, he's referenced in the show, he's inside of a TV screen or something, right?
Is this in the trailer?
So they were showing side-by-side comparisons to the game and
characters. So his mind, he's able to speak to you through a computer screen. His face will just show up.
He pops up, I think, in the show. Then
I think they're definitely going to be flashbacks to him. You saw his character just sitting in New Vegas, talking, I think, with Hank's character, but in what seemed like an obvious flashback sequence. It seems like Hank is definitely in New Vegas. I feel like I saw him a suit or something in New Vegas. So I wonder if he takes over. There must be a reason he's going to New Vegas.
Well, somebody made the comment that it's a place for people in the pre-war era to retreat to, to hide out in, essentially.
You mean post-war?
Well, I mean Hank's a pre-war. I don't know. I don't know the world as well as you do. Somebody made the comment that there's a reason he chooses to retreat to New Vegas as a pre-war individual.
Maybe.
Because he can't, apparently, somebody said he can't return to the vaults he was previously living in. He cannot go back to Vault 33 or 32, 31. So, he's going...
Well, maybe he doesn't know that Mr. House is dead.
I mean, he knows very little of the outside world, right? I mean, I
wonder. There has to be a reason he's going there. I don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, right. He's going there, one, to retreat away from those who are chasing him, but two, there's got to be a reason. There has to be somebody there or some hideout there that he thinks he can access.
It's clear when he views it, it's still up and running, it's still operating. So I feel like Mr. House, in the new...
It's interesting that he knows about it. That he knows that Vegas is an option, a viable option.
He probably kept some records about it.
Or he must have some way of being in contact with the surface.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's games that allude to the fact that, I feel like in some, if you check, the Overseer's computer in some games, it alludes to the fact that data or something, or certain files are like encrypted for like a higher authority over the overseer. So it's clear like there are like maybe communications that are going out to the enclave or someone else. So maybe these vaults, like maybe Vault 31 had a way of maintaining communications with whatever other executive vault was out there and communicating with each other about what was going on in the outside world.
Vault-Tec must have some sort of centralized governing body.
Yeah, that's interesting because the
Reporting.
show brings up a new thing. Like for like Vault-Tec, the only thing you ever knew about Vault-Tec is they were the ones who built the vaults.
Right.
And they built a lot of experimental vaults, and then that enclave was able to collect data from these vaults. You know, the show throws in that like these executives still exist in this world or are still alive. So like that's new.
Right. And somehow some of the people like Moldaver who were against them still exist in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people still exist in the world who knew about the nefarious operations of the Vault-Tec companies.
Yeah. So
I mean, I wonder. And that's one of the things I'm curious of, like in the second season, is like Moldaver the only actor in the world that knows about the truth behind Vault-Tec and the truth behind like these groups who hid and were going to wait out the fallout in order to take over the world again.
Right.
One of the things I also am interested in is like, does the U.S. not think that China was doing the same thing? Like, it seems like
China is definitely spying on them. The one thing I know about Game 4 is you can interact with. There's a submarine off the coast of Boston, and or maybe it's under Boston. If you board it, there is a ghoul, a Chinese military ghoul, who is still holding his post, who is spying on America. And you can do like side quests for him, but I don't know his circumstances. He wants to go back to China and see what things are like over there. But I guess China is definitely spying on.
Well, I guess here's my question: like,
America
spent all of these decades, years, whatever, building vaults. Like they had this initiative. You don't think China knew about that? Like,
well, there's been a lot of rumors about. You don't know about.
Didn't China?
What other countries did?
Yeah, I guess my point is like, wouldn't China, the other superpower, anticipating that nuclear war was a potential, right? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't they have also built vaults or had some sort of fail-safe in plan? Like,
one of the settings that has always been eluded is for a game setting is London.
Okay.
It's like that would be the first like outside of the U.S.
Why London?
Like what happened in other countries, kind of like thing.
Yeah,
I don't know why London.
I think like someone would have been the closest ally to the U.S.
Yeah, probably, and so
they might have had maybe access to some of these.
Vault-Tec also like gave them tech, or who knows what.
I mean, if they annexed to Canada, right, like that, I feel like that would have upset the UK. But like, I don't know, they probably would have shared some of their technology. Like the U.S. and UK relations were strongest after World War II. You know, so
like I feel like before the Fallout 4 came out and it was set in Boston, they're like, I feel like there's a rumor that keeps coming up that like London, or it kept coming up that one of the game settings was going to be there, but they haven't like pulled that trigger yet.
All right, well, here's to season 2. You know, being a thriller like season 1 was. As somebody who didn't play the games, I did enjoy.
I guess the other thing I would be interested in seeing is the Enclave. I feel like they're definitely going to make an appearance in season 2.
They were briefly referenced in season 1 with the Doctor.
I have to see the trailer. I don't know if I watched the whole thing.
Scientists escaping. Okay, as somebody who does not know anything about Fallout, the game series, I did enjoy the show. I need to go look who produced and directed it because I know that somebody I know of familiar with sci-fi did this season, and I'm really upset that I can't remember off the top of my head who it was. But it was a great show. As somebody who's never played Fallout, I feel like you can approach the show having never played the games and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the show does a good job of explaining these, at least giving an insight into these warring factions and their motivations, at least surface level. And it does take liberties that the game does not, in the sense that it explains how the fallout initially happened, that it was the U.S. corporations who, seeking shareholder profits, exploded the bombs.
Yeah, they were the ones who set off the nukes.
Which I feel like is a more compelling story because, like, look, we're living in 2025 right now where this country is completely dominated by U.S. corporations. Like,
it's funny that Amazon is the one who produced the show.
Yes, that is sort of ironic,
Yeah,
right?
ironic.
Like, if you think of the messaging of the show, it's ironic that Amazon's producing the show. Like, Amazon would be that kind of company who would nuke the world to enhance their profits, right?
You hear that, Bezos?
Hear that, Jeff?
Just you're on blast.
Jeffrey.
You're on notice.
Jeffrey, yeah. Have you reserved another Italian town for yourself?
Going back to space.
Going to space, Jeffrey. So, anyways, I feel like the show does a good job of it does a good job of creating a compelling story for those who didn't play the game and explaining the different groups to those who didn't play the game, as well as I think it like Ray said, it's considered canon now, right? So it's introduced ideas into the series that did not previously exist, i.e., or e.g., for example, the U.S. corporations were the ones who started the nuclear fallout, right? So that's now a sort of adopted canon, I would think.
Yeah.
Which is a compelling story, I think, given like where we are today in 2025 with corporations and the power that they wield. It does sort of bode and speak to today's circumstances where it's like we've given away control of the country to these rogue, companies.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's like,
Look at Doge.
I mean, this show came out even before the Trump administration, but
Yeah, well,
it feels very real now.
I mean, it knew. I mean, we were on that trajectory, right?
Yeah, ironic that Amazon makes it. But like, yeah, it feels very much like, the country's like going in that direction where corporations have more and more and more power. And they're, the whole reason the war happens is the self-interest of those running the companies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess what I really want to say is, like, F corporate America.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, we look forward to season 2. As somebody who's not played the games, I enjoyed the first season. I look forward to New Vegas and seeing what they add on top of the lore that they've created in season 1. And yeah, we will be back with another topic and episode in the future. In future Split Personalities ventures.
Yes.
We are signing off tonight, though.
I still want to talk about the first 2.
Ray,
Somehow I'm still going to dive deep into Fallout lore.
Ray will do his own episode where he dives deep into episode where he dives deep into Fallout 1 and 2, the games, and I won't be a part of that because I don't know anything about that. Ray went on for a long diatribe, and I was silent over here with my beer, drinking my beer because I'm like,
No,
I don't know anything about this.
Funny, like, every time you went into the show, it's just like, wait, what are we talking about here?
I felt like the entire time you're talking about the game, I was like, okay, well, are we done talking about this?
And then you went into the show, I was like, wait, like, why are we talking about the show?
My only touch point for this is the show.
Okay.
So check out Ray's single maybe podcast.
It's called One Half the Split.
One half of the Split Personalities, where Ray talks about game 1 and 2 of Fallout because Bob knows nothing about that. So you enjoy that. But next time you'll catch Split Personalities,
Catch me outside. How about that?
Yeah, enjoy the holidays. Thank you. Support us if you can. Buy our merch. Go to Patreon. Go to PayPal. See those things in our links. If you want to do the merch stuff, message us directly on Instagram. And support us any way you can. We're trying to build a split personality universe and make this more than just a hobby. So, love you guys. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Peace out.